Good evening. A major investigation by ITV News has found shocking pollution levels in the River Wye. We found sewage regularly being dumped into the river in some places for days at a time, as well as dangerously high levels of chemicals, including phosphate in the water. It's despite the river catchment being designated a special area of conservation.
The river spans 155 miles from its source in mid-Wales through Newbridge-on-Wye and into Herefordshire. It winds through the heart of Hereford itself before heading into Gloucestershire and eventually out to the Severn estuary between Chepstow and Bristol. In places, it actually marks out the border between England and Wales.
Well, the investigation has been carried out by journalists from ITV News teams in the Midlands, Wales and the West Country. Our environment correspondent Charlotte Cross has the first in our special series examining what's killing the Wye.
The River Wye is one of the longest in the UK, but along its journey through Wales, Herefordshire and Gloucestershire, there are scenes like this. Raw sewage allowed to flow freely into the water.
You see the sanitary towels, the toilet paper, human waste, and often this kind of white, grey, like cloud of water with all the associated foam just sort of streaming down the river.
It's arguably the most visible sign of a much bigger problem.
The Wye is widely seen as the birthplace of British tourism. The very first package holiday headed here back in 1770, allowing people to explore the beauty of the river and the wildlife along its banks. But now, this river is dying.
For months, ITV News has been investigating river pollution. The Wye is among the worst. Anglers in Ross have seen it firsthand. They've been monitoring levels of damaging phosphates for around 15 months to see how often they're higher than the maximum safe level of 0.05 parts per million. The results have been shocking.
During that time I've taken 86 results, of which only 8 have passed. Makes me want to cry, frankly. But it makes you angry to come down here and find every week, with few exceptions, that you're going to find a reading from the river that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 times what it should be.
And the knock-on effect of high phosphate means more algal blooms, which choke the river of other life.
Lower fish stocks, lower foods being provided for young fish to grow and develop and migrate to sea to come back to populate the river. Bird species either dying or not laying their eggs because there's insufficient food for them. So that whole ecological food chain simply is dying and falling away.
To try to get to the bottom of what's causing the problems, ITV journalists in Wales, Central and the West Country joined forces to investigate.
What we've discovered is distressing. I'm stood on the banks of the Wye near the source of the river. It actually begins its journey high up in the Cambrian mountains of Wales. But campaigners believe that this is also where the pollution problems start. They estimate that up to 4 million chickens could be producing eggs and meat in mid-Wales alone. And everybody's agreed that chicken droppings are high in phosphates.
Environment Agency figures show 60% of phosphate in rivers comes from agriculture. And at the same time, water companies are releasing gallons upon gallons of raw sewage into waterways every day. It's supposed to be a rare emergency measure to stop the system from flooding in heavy rain.
Well, we've had a look at the data that has been given to us by the water company responsible for this river, and through areas linked to the Wye, sewage was dumped into rivers and streams for a total of 17 million minutes. That is the equivalent of 33 years. And that was just last year. And all of the sewage and waste from Wales washes through Herefordshire, and of course it then goes through Gloucestershire before heading out into the sea.
At the start of the year, the Environment Agency in England told us it was working with Cardiff University to recruit citizen scientists to help monitor pollution in the Wye.
We've had readings that are even 28 times higher.
Volunteers like Jenny also attend the Nutrient Management Board, set up across Natural England, Natural Resources Wales and the Environment Agency to try to work out a plan, alongside representatives from water companies and farmers. But she says it's been tough to get anyone to take responsibility for what's ending up in the water.
You know, my background's a primary school teacher, and you have to deal all the time with behavioural gambits, which is children pointing at each other in the playground and saying, "It wasn't me, it was him, miss. It wasn't me, it was him, miss." And to be honest, watching the Nutrient Management Board meetings has been very similar.
Campaigners like them have been demanding action for years now, and say whatever has been done by those in charge hasn't made enough of a difference, and the river is suffering. Charlotte Cross, ITV News.
Well, Charlotte joins us from Simmons Yat near Ross-on-Wye. And Charlotte, your investigation highlights a number of pollutants in the River Wye, but what's the Environment Agency saying about it?
Well, we have asked them for an interview, but they declined to answer any questions. Instead, they gave us a statement insisting that they take their responsibility to protect the environment seriously. They did also say that they're taking a number of steps, including hiring 50 new farm inspectors, as well as cracking down on businesses found to be breaking the rules. And of course, they're working with this team of citizen scientists, such as Jenny, who we met a moment ago in my report, to try to understand more about how and where pollution is getting into the water. Now, the River Wye, as we say, actually runs exactly along the border between Wales and England, which can make pinpointing that kind of information a little bit more difficult. But the Environment Agency, as we've said, does already know that two of the main sources are agriculture and sewage. And so that's what we're focusing on this week. On Thursday, Jonty Messer will be telling us more about the problem of sewage pollution. And tomorrow we'll hear from Hannah Thomas about the contribution from farming.